Welcome back to another edition of Conscious Connections, where we explore soul centered conversations that awaken truth, inspire healing, and remind us of our divine power. I am your host, Dr. Deborah Carson, the founder of the Fear to Freedom Project. And I love to sit down with beautiful souls who are transforming lives through their gifts, their wisdom, and their stories. Together, move beyond fear right into freedom, one conscious conversation at a time. Today's guest is a woman whose life has unfolded across many dimensions, seen and unseen. Gabrielle Heikamp is a medium, a channel, multidimensional experiencer whose journey began in childhood with psychic sensitivity and later expanded through profound losses, an NDE, a near death experience in India, and years of training in evidential mediumship. Her work has led her to connect with loved ones in spirit, fairies, angels, ETs, and ultimately to become a channel for the Elohim, a collective of higher consciousness beings. Welcome, a warm welcome to the show, Gabrielle. Thank you for coming to share your space with me and accepting my invitation. I'm so excited you're here. Well,
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
yes, you're welcome. Someone gave me your name and I watched you on another podcast and I was like, I want to have her here because I do because the Elohim, I use that name a lot in my life and I only knew that it was an angel and I thought one. And then I was at a retreat up in the mountains here in North Carolina, and I met another channel who was on the Next Level Soul podcast, and he channels a collective of angels, Elohim. And I'm like, what? It's a collective of angels? Like a whole lot? So, of course, that just makes me so interested to know, like, how does that happen? So, I'm going to dig right in, and we're going to go back to the early sensitivity, like, as a child, you said you felt wrong and weird, sensing like you didn't belong. So looking back to that, you know, what were your feelings like? How did that start?
Well, it starts actually with my first childhood memory. I was 3 years old and I was sitting with my family, parents and siblings, four of them, in the living room. And I was suddenly looking around at them. And as if my soul had just entered or kicked in, I had the thought, and I'm not even sure whether a 3-year-old can think like that already. I had the thought, what am I doing here with these people? And at the same moment, I also knew this is my family, my biological family, my parents and my siblings. So there were two different consciousnesses in that moment, and I can never forget that, and I never forgot that. And that was kind of the start of feeling weird because with this thought, what am I doing here with these people? I felt totally unattached.
Mm,
And I had that feeling later on in my NDE when I looked back at my life, and also in a lucid dream when I was hovering above the bed under the ceiling, looking down at my body, lying there in bed and sleeping, and it looked like a puppet, and I felt so unattached. Some people talking about their lucid dreamings or OBE experiences, when they look back at their body, they are scared. They think they are dead. The body is dead, and all they want is go back. And I just felt a relief, Finally, I could leave this narrow little kind of vessel, and I felt so much more and became an idea of what all ancient texts are telling us. You are much more, We are spiritual beings, having a human experience in in a physical vessel, this body.
So
So
how old were you? Was that a out of body or was that a near death the first time?
the first time was, I think, my soul or my consciousness kicking in and looking at my family and wondering what I'm doing there with these people.
Yeah,
So
but when
that
you were hovering over your body, how old were you?
that was at the age of 30, I think. And after I read a few books of Edgar Casey, that really fascinated me, the way he went into trance and could channel. And I kind of got the advice from reading a book about him. If you want to focus more on lucid dreaming, have a diary right at your bed and start a dream diary. Write down every day whatever you can remember from your dreams, how weird the scenes might seem to yourself. And after doing that for 2 weeks, I put a lot of energy and focus into that, writing down every morning what I remembered, and it got clearer and clearer, and I remembered more. And then one night, just poof, it happened. I was hovering outside of my body under the ceiling of the room, looking down at my bed, at my body lying in bed and sleeping. So that was an OBE, an out of body experience in a lucid dream, because that dream had some more things happening. I suddenly heard a voice coming kind of seemingly from above, a voice without a body, asking me, "Do you want to sleep on or do you want to wake up?" And I knew it wasn't only about waking up, the normal wake up state from the body. I knew spiritual awakening is meant. And I thought, because I was striving for something like that since years and years, I thought I would say, "Yes, yeah, come on." But I didn't in that dream. I was going,
You were thinking about it?
I felt something. Like I wasn't ready yet to answer with a
Okay.
yes. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be true at that moment. And in all my kind of doubting and starting to think and analyzing and whatever, I woke up and I said to myself, "Oh, why didn't I say yes?" So that kind of left the door open. And as time is running differently on this side, it took me a few years, but then I had another situation, just sitting on my couch, being a bit tired and just letting my eyes close. And boom, I found myself standing on a cliff, and I felt left and right my guides kind of lined up as cloudy, nebulous figures. And they were all clapping hands and cheering me up, "Go on." And I looked down into this abyss and I thought, well, they want me to jump down there. No, I'm not going to do that. And they said, "Nothing will happen, not what you expect. Just let go of everything and jump. We can promise you it will be good." And I thought, okay, they never gave me something wrong. I trust them. So I jumped. And for the first few meters, I was really falling down like the normal human expected. And suddenly, boom, my hands went out with the arms stretched, and I could fly. And I was sailing along like a hawk, and I was shouting, "Yoo-hoo!" And then I understood why they clapped their hands even more and were cheering me up, because kind of the message metaphorically is, you are meant to fly. Not only me, every one of us. The spirit is free. We can fly, we can levitate, we can do anything. It's only the limiting 3D thoughts of our programmed mind that keep us from discovering that.
So let me ask you something because if we all can do this, why is it that everybody's not able to do this? Is it because you think that, we have chosen our own journey and we know, beforehand in spirit when we're going to, wake up on the journey, like we've chosen that time. So is it just that it's not time for everyone? Because why can't more people do that? Why just certain people waking up? I'm sure there are lots of people who want to wake up and want to meet their guides and know that their ancestors are there and know that angels are around them and that we're not here on earth alone, and it just seems like sometimes what are they picking and choosing who's gonna wake up at a certain time? That's my question.
Well, the thing is, it was your soul choosing pre-birth what you will experience when.
Yeah,
And the free will choice is how you go about it. You can go about it kicking and screaming, or surrendering and accepting and going with the flow. And there is a big difference, because what you think about you being ready and really being ready. That's why this process of awakening is monitored by your higher self. You get exactly what you need, that might differ from what you think you need or what you want, and you're always met at where you're at. See, so I had experiences, with a group of people meeting in the dark in the forest for a skywatch. And there was one woman, claiming, I am so ready. I want to meet my ET brethren. And when really, after the CE5 protocol of Dr. Stephen Greer, something was appearing in the sky, she was the first one to run hysterically into the forest. And so she kind of destroyed the whole group. We all had to follow her and look that she doesn't fall over or harm herself, and
yeah,
get her kind of back and calm her down, because you know, it's all about frequency. Other beings have very often higher frequency than we have. And if a higher frequency comes close, you have to adapt. And if you cannot, then you're just not ready. And it would scare you. And I can assure you that positive beings never contact you and never come close when you are in low frequency, like fear, panic, shame, guilt, whatever. You have at least to be neutral in the middle, or positively excited, or like Yeshua said about children, have the mind of a child, curious, open, kind of not knowing anything and learning via the experience, learning by doing.
I get that. I really do. I get that, and I appreciate that because it could be very jarring, and I pretty
Exactly.
much yeah, and I heard that when if you are not ready to integrate certain, aspects of this reality or the spiritual self, then it could maybe send somebody over the edge, and we don't want that. And I love that you said that it's monitored, right? So we are being monitored and guided, and people need to understand that
Our
we're
higher
not alone.
self is the best guide ever. It is
Yeah,
with you since the beginning. It knows you better than you know yourself, and it gives you exactly what it knows you can handle.
I
That's why
appreciate that.
some things just don't happen, and we're always with our mind so fast, so we're ahead of us, and we want stuff when we're not yet ready for it. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, I had this with my guides, I said, I want to see more of you. Can't you manifest or whatever and materialize in my room? I would love to see you. And they said, you would cry with fear if we suddenly would appear in your room. That's why we make firstly a more astral or telepathic contact. So there is kind of a protocol in approach. If
I
something
I like that.
would in your living
Yeah.
room, another being, an ET, you would freak out.
Yeah, yeah. I would have, and now that I have had the awakening, I like the way things are moving for me. At first, I was fighting and literally like I was having a hissy fit I mean, I was not nice about this, but I felt this presence of a lot of beings, my ancestors, and I felt like they were all just kind of standing back and just allowing me to have this hissy fit. And finally, when I stopped, because it was like I was fighting, I was like, I hate it here. I was just going off. And it didn't last for one day. This had lasted for months. And finally, when I stopped, I literally felt like I stopped beating myself up. And it was like Source said, You and me are one. You're not fighting me, you're fighting yourself. Just relax, and just we are here like to protect you. Like, just don't fight yourself, just surrender. And when I surrendered, everything changed. Everything changed. It really, really did. So now I can hear them. I use the oracles, they speak to me, I trust them. And yeah, I really appreciate that. That's a really great answer. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about this evidential mediumship. Like, what did it teach you about how we communicate with spirit? The evidential mediumship training.
Well, in my case, I am clear sentient means I feel stuff. I can feel presences and energies. And with the training of the mediumship trainment in circle work, where you perceive about an object or whatever, a photograph hidden in an envelope, nobody knows what is in there, and you give it around in the group, and everybody gives his or her feedback, what they perceive, and then you can put it together, everything, the overlapping, matching information. So with the training, you can bring on more of the psychic senses online, like hearing or seeing. And some people, they smell stuff or they suddenly get a taste in their mouth. And there is also the kind of clear knowing. You just suddenly know stuff and you cannot explain where it comes from. It does not belong to your knowledge. That is clear knowing. So every of our normal senses, like seeing, tasting, hearing, and so on, they have kind of an invisible etheric prolongation into other dimensions, and then it becomes clear seeing, clairvoyance, and so on. So evidential mediumship is mostly about contact with deceased loved ones, and to not be tricked by trickster entities or energies that are also out there in the many dimensions that are around us invisibly. You ask for proof of the deceased loved one that only he and the recipient of the message knows. Something you, as the medium, being intermedia, the middle, kind of the middleman or the channeler, the channel for the information from the beyond. You don't have to know that. You don't have to understand what they are giving you. And a funny thing once happening to me in a session with a client was, it was an older woman. She was already transitioned, and her children contacted me as a medium and wanted to send her healing energy, wanted to know whether they can help her or whether she's good and fine and everything okay on the other side in the beyond. And I forgot to ask for the proof, and she brought it in herself, the grandma. I suddenly saw
Wow.
garlands of clover with, the 4 leaves clover, and they were flying around like from antique postcards in my vision. And I just bursted out in the middle of the session, asking the granddaughter, "Why am I seeing garlands of clover all over?" And she said, "Oh, my grandma used to collect them and press them in a book, so she was all about 4 leaves clover." So the spirit of the deceased woman brought in the proof by themselves. And the granddaughter recognized it. So that's about, kind of giving our mind some food that wants a proof. And it's a good idea to not believe everything from the other side of the veil, but to test and experiment and ask for proof. Even Yeshua said in the one of the lesser redacted parts of the Bible, test the spirits. Some people come up to me and say, "You're channeling demons," they're just repeating something from another Bible part that is very redacted. And I think I know why. Because if you have contact with other beings, you very rapidly find out that this isn't all what it seems and what is taught
Yep.
to you and told to you. That's why they don't want you to have contact with the dead. On the other side, they know pretty quickly and they can tell you.
Yeah, you know what? This is just so interesting to me. And I am just so curious and I am excited now, more excited about what's going to happen next because I am being guided and I know that I am now. And I get the messages. And I'm not trying to be in control because I found out I'm not in control. I mean, so, yeah,
You
being,
have to give up your
yeah, yeah,
control
you
because
totally have to do that.
that's one of the strongest ego traits. Ego wants to control everything, and you have to
Hmm.
go with the flow. And I experienced kind of my career as a medium. Like in the beginning, it was the deceased loved ones. Then came in the ancestors. I even met one of the Orisha black guides from Brazil because I had connections and friends in Brazil, and they brought me to some location where usually a tourist isn't going. They love waterfalls. And when I came to that waterfall, I saw a black woman, very beautiful and proud and upright, in a yellow dress, standing or hovering above the water. And I asked my Brazilian friends, "Who's that lady in yellow?" And they said, "Oh, that's Oshun, one of the African elders."
Yes, yes, I love Oshun.
I love her too, and she appeared various times to me. And
Wow.
so the elders, they are our forefathers. They experienced nearly everything human we are experienced because Earth is known as the hardest school for souls. It's like a boot camp. There you really have to prove, you know, what kind of a tea bag you are, and mostly it comes out when there's put hot water upon you. Then you know which flavor your tea bag is, if you don't have a label telling you it's this or that. And after the elders, then came the elemental beings like fairies and gnomes. And I thought in the beginning, this can't be true. This is
What
really like
was that
the
like?
fairy
Fairies
tales.
and gnomes. Yeah, what
But
was that
they
like?
are real. They are real beings. That's why we have the legends and the fairy tales, still remembering a remembrance of times when our ancestors were much more connected to nature, Mother Earth, and all the elements and the elemental beings and their ancestors. And then after that came in the angels. I had a few angel experiences, very interesting. And
Share that. I like the angels. Everyone pretty much can connect with there are angels because that's what we heard in church or, our religious institutions, right? So whether or not we believe it, it's like we heard that. So we can more connect with that. So what is it like? Because we all have a guardian angel that is assigned to us. And
yeah,
whether we believe it or not, right? So I want to know my angel. Like I talk to them. I do because I know they're there,
that's
but I still want to
wonderful.
feel them like different. I want to have more connection or whatever. So what was it like? I want to know.
Well, the first thing I perceived was a feeling of, greatness. just a little example from out of curiosity. I went with a friend of mine in Brazil to a Brazilian healer that was said to work with Archangel Gabriel. And when we entered the room, there was a little man sitting there with colored skin. But what I felt was, whoa, a big presence in the room that had nothing to do with this little small man sitting there and waiting for us as clients. So that was one thing. Another thing that shortly before falling asleep, then you are usually in the theta brainwave state, which you can also get into via meditation, deep meditation. And usually that's also used in hypnosis, QHHT, regression, and so on. So this is a short while before you fall asleep and before you truly fully wake up in the morning. You cannot put your finger on the point and say, that's when I fell asleep or that's when I woke up. It's a short period that can be prolonged, especially if you use it in hypnosis, QHHT. But it can also, by training, be prolonged in your bed if you do some breathing exercises. So it happened to me that suddenly I was in my bed, boom, I found myself astrally in a giant cave that had a waterfall at the entrance, like a veil. And I was sitting there, leaned onto some stone. And when I looked around, I saw that this stone I land against, like sitting on a couch or something or on a bench, it was the foot of a giant stone statue. And when I looked up, it was the statue of an angel. We have some of these old-fashioned statues
Yeah.
on ancient cemeteries or somewhere around churches sometimes, and it was giant, filling up the whole cave. And when I looked up, it suddenly started very slowly to move, but taking care of me as this little kind of ant-like figure sitting on his foot. And I asked, "Who are you?" And I heard, "I am Gabriel." And you know, the funny thing, my name is Gabriele, a German form of Gabriel. And I never liked my name because I found it so kind of old-fashioned and deep. So I always went as Gabby. And after that encounter, I discovered kind of inside of myself, wow, Gabriel is in my name. And with that kind of destination, I could align very well. And suddenly I started liking my name. And from then
Good.
on, he showed up from time to time. And when I first started channeling, um, after a visit at the Bosnian pyramids, that certainly helped and gave me a boost of energy or changed something. The Elohim showed up, and I never heard that word before, you know, so I started researching and Googling and found out it's a Hebrew plural, meaning this is not a singular. It is falsely translated in the Bible as the one God,
Yeah.
but it's a plural, so it's a multitude. And when they showed up, I felt and recognized angelic energy because I already had contact with Gabriel and Michael and some other angels. So I recognized the frequency. And I felt that they are many. And this was a wondrous thing I found out about the angels, you know, or even your guides. You might have a team of 10 or 20 or 100 guides. If they would all talk at the same time, this would be a cacophonia that you couldn't understand. They are so united in oneness, one mind. They are all together in this, but they speak with one voice, but you can
Yeah,
feel that they are many, you know?
I have a question. Okay, I got a question and a comment. Okay, so you're right about the one and many, and they're all in unison because when my ancestors showed up, I could feel the presence of many. It was a lot. I mean, like many of them, but it was only it was not cacophonous. It was very easy. They spoke with ease, but I knew that it was a lot of them, and they were telling me, you know, what to do. Serve humanity, but it was the presence of many. So I was going to ask you about the frequency part. So the first time that you did the angels, you felt the presence of angels, was the frequency overwhelming for you? Like, how do you prepare for that? Because we were just talking about, like, if something were to happen, because I know that they have to lower their vibration also to come to us, and we have to raise our vibration to kind of like meet, right? So was the vibration, was that frequency overwhelming the first time? Like, how did you manage that?
See, in reality, you can't really prepare for that. When you're ready, it happens. And obviously, I was ready without knowing it, and it happened. And it was not overwhelming for me. It felt more like home, as if I recognized this kind of frequency. Angels are said to be the messenger of source, all that is. So they carry a lot of this home frequency and home energy, and they're not really that much kind of lowering their frequency, because humans are kind of blessed beings, because we have a direct connection inside that's inbuilt, innate, in our kind of chest area, the heart chakra region. There is the connection to our higher self, and our higher self is in the sixth dimension, and it is formless, knows everything, and that's the best guide you can ever have. And I have the idea, not sure about that yet, but in my case, it is matching, that my higher self is also my guardian angel. And if you acknowledge your guardian angel or your higher self, which usually people don't do, they talk about it, but they don't kind of sit in their living room and say, "Wow, I'm greeting you and I invite you, my higher self, please come in more and share your knowledge, share your advice, your energy with me." And this is also the part that allows beings to contact you or not, and also allows kind of following pre-birth contracts, a channeling of this and that entity or not. So that is kind of the middleman. That is the bridge where we meet from we elevating a little bit more into a higher consciousness and frequency by acknowledging that there are these other aspects of us. And we're told in many ancient texts that we are multi-dimensional beings. And if you break that down, that means on every dimension you have an aspect kind of existing there. And you can even contact your future self and ask for advice for the situation you are right in front of, and your future self already is through that and can give you the best advice, or ask your higher self. You don't
That is
even need
just
any external guides, because they're all aspects of yourself, and you rediscover and remember more and more of your multidimensional parts on this journey. And of course, you have to integrate that and acknowledge, oh, that is also there, you know?
that's very interesting. I am going to do more of that, like speaking to my higher self. And I speak to my ancestors a lot. Like, I am like this with them.
Wonderful that
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
already with you. They
Yes,
train
yes.
you
I am
how
so
to
like,
listen and to feel.
yeah, yeah. We're very tight. But not but I want to, and I do know that I have a higher self. I just really need to acknowledge my higher self more, and I'm going to do that. One time I had an experience, I went into my Akashic records, and that's where I met Archangel Michael. Now that I felt the presence of this huge, like massively huge, golden, big energy with a huge sword. Like it was golden, it was big, it was bright. And that is like the biggest thing that I've ever seen in spirit. Like, yeah, that was, I can say that I did have that experience with that angel in my Akashic records.
Yeah, so that matches my experience, my first one, that it's always about they are so tall and so big and it's just huge and immense. And that comes with them. That's a recognizable energy. You cannot fake that. Other lower beings try sometimes as a trickster energy to fake an angel, but they really can't, because if you watch what you perceive, how you feel, you can find out easily with whom you are in contact.
One
That's why
time,
mediumship treatment is so good for that, because we're all going to become more psychic. With all the sun flares and all the stuff happening, that's not only rays and EMFs, that's also consciousness. It's the source of life force, and it's working on our DNA, and people start wondering what kind of stuff they suddenly perceive, energies and colors. Yes, that's how it's starting if your psychic senses come online. And you have to train with that, like training to learn to ride a bicycle, you know. If you never used that muscle, of course, it's kind of rusty, but it's all innate. There are people who had an injury, a head in an injury, and suddenly after that head injury they had this, what the science calls the savant syndrome, suddenly genius. They never played an instrument and suddenly this guy can sit down and play piano as if he was born like that, after a head injury. Or another one is seeing all the sacred geometry patterns and he's starting to draw that, and these are wonderful paintings that this guy is creating. But I would not like to have this ability coming online via a head injury.
yeah, yeah.
uh, but that shows it is there in everyone. And it just is up to us what we are interested in to activate. And it always starts with intent and focus. What do you want? What do you wish?
Mm. I had an experience about a year and a half ago, maybe two. I started to have this light. I can see it now. It doesn't hurt me at all. It 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 actually shows itself like right here. It comes down and it's this bright light. In the beginning, about 2 years ago, when it started to show up, I could not behold the light. It used to hurt me. And see, I had a brain injury. So I thought, oh my God, something's happening to my brain. This brain injury about 7 or 8 years ago. So about 2 years ago, I started having this light. It started coming and it would just kind of shine right here. And I could not hold it. I would hold my head, and that happened for about months. I don't know, months. It was just so strong of a light that I had to, like, it would just cause me to, like, sit down, and I would just kinda be dazed, and that went on for some time. So I was thinking, "Oh my god, something's happening." But I didn't go to the neurologist because somehow I felt that it did not have anything to do with the brain injury. I felt something else. I don't know what it was. I'm like, "This is a light. Maybe it's the light of God." I don't know, the light of source. But now it happens. I see the light. It comes down and then it goes back up. It goes away. It doesn't hurt me anymore, but it still happens. And I'm like, what is going on? I know that things are happening. We're being upgraded. Earth is being upgraded. More abilities are being shown to me. So I always wonder about that. And I just can't wait sometimes to, like, find out. I'm going to find out. I'm not rushing anything, but that was not about the head injury. It was not, because I would have ran to the doctor and like, "Oh my god, something's happening." And what would they do? Put you on another medication. But somehow I was like, that's not anything about the head injury. I thought this has something to do spiritually, and I'm not really sure about it, but I know that I will be guided to the knowledge whenever I am ready. So I want to move right into like the ETs. Okay. Because this is something that I listen to Bashar. I follow Bashar. I love Bashar. Whether I believe that Daryl Anka is channeling an ET or not, what that man says is, or what the ET brings, that wisdom and the information is so practical that whenever I use it, it works. So I follow Bashar, and he always talks about contact. Contact is going to happen. It's going to happen soon. You know, the world will know that we're not here alone. Were you afraid when you first had contact with an ET?
No, I wasn't, because they started very slowly with me, you know. Um, a few years ago, I didn't even have that on my screen, you know. I had in my circles of friends and acquaintances some people talking about UFO and ETs and what have you. And then one night I was at the porch of friends and stepping out to have a cigarette, you know, with someone else still smoking as well. And we were looking into the night sky, and suddenly this other lady said, "Do you see that orange dot moving there? That's not a star. Stars shouldn't move." And I looked to where she was pointing at, and I saw this orange dot moving slowly across the sky. And I kind of telepathically, speaking in my mind, asked, "Are you a plane? No, you can't be. There are missing these blinking lights left and right." And right when I thought that, you know, it made a 90-degree angle turn, which our flying devices cannot do. And that was kind of the answer. No, we're not a plane. And I kind of felt that we are the galactics. And I suddenly felt my heart jump with joy. And I thought, wow, yeah, great. I'm seeing my first UFO or UAP. And then a few more sightings happened, and one even where they kind of lit up like a greeting. When I saw them, I thought, "Oh, it's you again! Wonderful!" And they, woo! And it was always with joy. I still can kind of recall that joy. It's just flowing through me when I remember and talk about that. And then I, interestingly enough, had an encounter in my bedroom. I heard cracking noises from my closet, which it usually does not do. And I was kind of looking there and there was nothing. And then with closed eyes, I looked again, kind of astrally. And I saw two nebulous figures, a male and a female. And as I learned to always ask, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" I did that, and they said they are Pleiadians and they love to invite me to their ship. And I got the name of the male one, but I'm not very good with names. It sounded like Superman's name from the comic, like Kal-El or something very similar in pronunciation. And they gave me their hand to kind of bring me up in this white column of light. And I was like a child. I suddenly said, "No, I want to do it on my own." And woof, I kind of managed to beam myself up, and suddenly I found myself with these two male and female figures again in a corridor that looked like Star Trek, you know, a corridor of a spaceship, and I knew I was on a ship. And they led me through a corridor into a special room where there was a stasis glass tube filled with liquid and a body in that. And they brought me in front of that stasis tube, and I looked at the being in there, and it was humanoid, but it had feline features in the face, and the eyes closed. And I stood in front, and every cell of my body yelled, "That's me!" So I had an encounter with an alter ego on a spaceship, and I wasn't abducted. I was invited, and I accepted the invitation. They were respecting free will. I could have said no, but who would say no? I mean, okay, it's up to you. I was eager and curious, and I wanted, so I said yes. And that happened another time again because I was pondering about that. Okay, I can acknowledge that there are other versions of me living kind of past or future lives, as in the end it's all parallel, it's all happening right here all at once
Yes.
simultaneously. So, but why did they show me that? I have no problem kind of integrating that. And then it happened again. They invited me a second time. Same corridor, brought me to the same room, and when I looked at the being, it suddenly ploofed, opened its eyes and looked at me. So that was very special, me being awake in
Wow.
front of the being, and then they helped the being out of the stasis. The liquid was going out. And we kind of went, like in Star Trek, to the cafeteria, 10 front, and had a party. So they were feasting that now we are both awake. And that has a deeper meaning that I kind of encounter a part of myself that wasn't integrated before. And now I'm saying yes to that and even feasting that this silent part can now um, take up more space and share information with me, whatever. I'm curious. So that's what were my experiences with that, you know.
Whoa, whoa, okay. All right, I know we are we are really, really running time, not out of it because it doesn't exist, but we are have to manage it here. I have another question about Atlantis. So you visited Atlantis, and I want to know what that was like. Like, what did you learn about us and where we came from in Atlantis?
Well, I surely have memory of Atlantis because probably another version of me lived there. We all lived at the pivotal times with incarnations, having our experiences. But I'm not quite sure how to kind of bring that into words because these memories are more feeling, you know,
Okay.
remembrance of feeling. But as I am a QHHT practitioner as well, using Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique, I had some very interesting clients that went back in the regression part of the hypnosis session to Atlantis. And as I'm a medium, I could see what they were describing during the hypnosis in words. I was there with them more or less. I saw the same stuff and I looked around, and if you have an image, you can recall that image and go into it afterwards, kind of, and look around and explore more. Because that's why a lot of the Tibetan monks use visualization. Imagination is one of the psychic kind of powers. You can open doors with that and go through and have explorations and whatever, what have you. So, well, I lost the thread. Sorry, please help me. What was the
No,
question
that
again?
was about Atlantis, but that was your
Oh,
memory of Atlantis. Yeah, and
I've
and
been, yeah,
mhm.
I've been to Atlantis various times during hypnosis sessions with clients, and I walked the streets, and they were megalithic kind of stone streets, not cobblestone, but really big slabs of stones and buildings that were also made of stone, and they look different from everything I saw in ancient history, Egypt or Sumer or what have you, or China pyramids or whatever. all around the world, these ancient buildings, people still marvel and wonder who built that, megalithic structures. And I visited a certain place that others also talked about. It was called the Citadel, which was a certain part in the city of Atlantis where they did more or less spiritual work. And I saw stuff that I didn't understand. There was one client who was in a suit and had already crystals worked into the suit, very big crystals at the heart chakra and at the solar plexus chakra. And this suit had magnetic shoes, and the guy was walking around the roof and the walls of the room, and I didn't know what he was doing. And I couldn't find out. And another client was coming to work, and his work was standing on a little pedestal, bringing in energies, and they split up into colors, and then he directed it in, like in Tai Chi movements, he directed the energies to certain parts of Atlantis, the city, to groups of people and certain people, and they always changed color when they kind of shoot out of his hands. So his kind of profession in Atlantis was being an energy conductor. And it's very interesting. They knew about their kind of demise, because with one client, I was there shortly before it sunk into the water, and it was like a dome, invisible dome above the whole kind of area of Atlantis. And there were very dark clouds. It looked really like heavy storms around, and the water was already kind of splashing onto that dome. There was no one on the streets, only a few people left and stuff like that, because they knew before, and some left and kind of went to Egypt or to Portugal and other places and kind of continued the traditions and tried to keep the knowledge. So this is a pivotal point in human history where we are kind of in a cycle repeatingly, more or less right now as well. There is this kind of split ahead. Do you want a natural evolution path with bringing your psychic senses online and connecting more with nature and Mother Earth and all the energies and other beings in other dimensions around? Or do you want to kind of the transhumanist path where you think you enhance yourself by putting a chip in your head and using a lot of tech? And in the end, well, I don't resonate with the transhuman path. I feel much more comfortable with connecting to Mother Earth, the ancestors and angels and all these beings, and it feels quite much more better that way than all this tech stuff, which
Yeah.
is to me kind of foreign. I wouldn't even love to have something like a false hip inside of my body. That already the thought of that kind of does not feel really good to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
me either. Yeah, I
yes, but
feel you.
humanity will choose. We are curious people. And already some souls signed up to make an experience I would never pick. And that's okay, because Source is experiencing all that is,
Yeah.
ever expanding through every one of us making experiences. So
Wow.
we're contributing with our life and our experiences always to the greater good, even if the experience was, better not mention it.
Yeah, yeah.
We
I
always learn and grow, and others can learn and grow from the energy we kind of release when we let go or overcome something. This is all kind of a positive imprint then in the subconscious of humanity, where we already are united, only unaware. And the next step of humanity is kind of being more aware, get
Yes.
along, get from the solar plexus chakra into the heart chakra, which is love and understanding.
Yeah,
So that's where we are.
I totally
Personally,
love that.
our own journeys, and as a humanity as well, our next step.
I love that. I embrace every bit of being in a world where we are living through our hearts. I do. And I am so excited and I'm glad, I'm happy because I have always felt like this is like the worst place to be. I did. Even though I have gone through life, I just have felt like this is like the worst world. I have. And I want it to be better. It needs to be better. We need to be loving more. And I that's what I feel. So I would like to, if you feel aligned, I would like to invite the Elohim to speak to our listeners and offer some hope. Like this is a time of chaos right now and uncertainty, division, a lot of fear is happening and we're being we're channeling a lot of fear and I would like for some hope. What does the Elohim like to say to humanity? And I also invite them because I spoke to them before we came, like if they have a message for me personally. So if you
Yeah,
feel aligned with that, I
yeah.
would be interested. I would love to hear from them.
Just give me a moment. I take 3 deep breaths, and then they will come and announce themselves with their little saying. They always say the same thing, declaring who they are, what they are, and what is their intention. We are the Elohim, the breath of God, the form-giving forces, in service to the one infinite creator source, in service to all. We are very happy to share this moment in time with you as you still experience time, although you know time is not linear. It is more moving in circles or spirals and cycles. That's why your forefathers were so obsessed to observe the movings of the planetary bodies in the sky, to tell them about the cycles and where they are in the cycle. You are now, according to your Mayan calendar and the Hindu calendar, at a pivotal point of change, of moving and evolving into fourth density or dimension, of having a quantum shift or a quantum leap in your human evolution. And that has to do with frequencies. In former times, these resets every 50,000 years were not always easy. They were accompanied by catastrophic happenings because the Earth, as the living being that she is, incarnated as a planet, is also going through shifts and changes. It is like a new birth. You are in the birth process. Earth is reincarnating into her next better form and version, higher version, and you are as well with her. So you feel right now like in the tunnel, there is no light. Everything seems to fall apart. But as we reside outside of your limited ideas about time, we can tell you the universe has already happened. Everything has already happened. You made your quantum jump. You managed your ascension and everything is fine while you are still living the experience, and at the same time, this is what polar duality intellect cannot really grasp. At the same time, universe is in the state of becoming, because you are a spark of spirit. You have the divine light of source within you, and you can always directly connect with that if you go inside, inwardly, within, into your heart. There you find peace and light and hope and everything you need to go through the last little steps of your old world crumbling and the new world opening up in front of you and unfolding according to your deepest desires and wishes. You all want to be happy, live in peace, without war and struggle, and that is your divine birthright that you are claiming now. And by that, you're exercising your free will. You are co-creating your new earth experience, the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, if you only be 51% positive, just 1% more than the normal and average. Don't fall into negativity. That's kind of all around you, shown to you, and you don't even know whether it's true or not. You believe in images and videos and stuff presented to you by the media. Go inside. Truth resides within you. That's your divine birthright. And you will understand that via resonance in your heart, you can discern in the outside world what is true, what vibrates the right frequency, matching your frequency, and what not. And you don't go in the direction which does not feel good, which does not match your vibration. It's that easy. Follow your heart, follow your excitement, and act upon it. And also allow yourself the rest that is needed to stomach all that is happening now in the world, because as part of it, you are also experiencing a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff in the outside. But we can assure you the solution, peace you seek, love and light, is always with you inside your heart. So we invite you, come home now. Enter your heart and be with us. We are waiting since long that we all come together again in oneness as a united consciousness. You are not alone, you have never been, and you will never be. And help is right in front of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you have to share to me personally, Elohim? Personally.
Well, you already, dear one, made contact with your ancestors. And so you know of the Orishas, and you love Oshun. And as a little gift for you, Oshun is right here, right now with us. And she is bending forward and showing you in your open hand, handing you over a white flower, which usually is the invitation to initiation. So stabilize more contact with especially Oshun. She is one of your spirit guides, and she can help you to step into your own initiation. It is our pleasure and our honor as we serve you and everyone watching, we also serve the greater good. We serve all, and that's all Source ever wanted. And as we are kind of an aspect of Source, acting out what Source dreamt for you, we are also your servants, and we are happy to be of service. Anything else on your mind you would like to ask or know about?
I would like to know about being able to connect more to, I know Ashun, but also my guardian angel. How, if someone wanted to connect to their guardian angel, how do we do that?
That's a wonderful, beautiful question. Thank you very much for that. And with it, allow us to bring some little practical aspect into the conversation. Put your hand onto your chest and you will feel the warmth there. And by that, automatically, your focus of attention goes there because you feel a sensation, the hand on the chest, and it's getting warm. And you can even go with your fingers or your knuckles and tap on your breastbone. That makes your voice vibrate like you can hear it now when we do it with this vessel. So you are very much focused now onto this area, and you can speak positive affirmations or acknowledge, greet your higher self by tapping the breastbone and saying, I am, I am, I am. And did you notice that you suddenly took a deeper breath that took you more inside? And your breastbone has in medicine the Latin name sternum, which means, translated from Latin, the radiant. So imagine now that you breathe into the area, maybe 2 fingers inside of your body, behind the breath, and just let yourself fall into the space behind your radiant breastbone. And notice how this space opens up and expands as if you're out in space in the universe. Because you are the universe, a microcosm, a world in small, with everything inside. All you need is there. And breathing in the right way, in through the nose and out through the slightly opened mouth. You can even allow yourself a little sigh. Because exhaling, you exhale and let go of pressure, tension, expect wrong ideas, false beliefs. You meet your higher self there, your guardian angel, your main guide. That's important for you right now. You meet them right here in this space. Just address them. Call out for your guardian angel and maybe ask for a name to better address next time you come back into this space. Or ask for to meet Oshun, acknowledge her, greet her, and then become silent, because in the silence you will receive their message for you. What you need to know right now might be a word, might be a feeling, might be an image, and say thank you for what you received. It will unfold in the days ahead, and you will understand better and deeper what was given to you as a message. That is your connection. There you can call upon whomever you want. But be wise and only use authentic, positive addresses, like Source, all that is, your guardian angel, your higher self, Archangel Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, or one of the ascended masters that you feel drawn to, like Mary Magdalene, or Buddha, or Yeshua, or Kuan Yin, or Saint Germain. They're all waiting there, stretching out to give you a hand if you only step inside. So now that you know the space, you can always come back and be welcome always.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wisdom. Thank you for showing up here, for coming, and I honor you. That is all from me.
Thank you, beautiful soul. We are happy to be of service. So if there is nothing else, then we would recede and give you back this one.
Thank you, Gabrielle. You're back.
Yes,
How do you feel?
wonderful all over.
Yeah, good. So do I. That was beautiful. I am so excited. The collective of Elohim came to my podcast and offered that wisdom about
Isn't
Oshun.
that energy simply wonderful? I would love to
Yes.
stay in that.
Yeah, I want to stay in that too. I was like, I better not. I mean, I just wanted to like, you can come back here anytime. You need to come back here and we can do this again. That was beautiful. And I appreciate them telling me to connect more with Oshun. And I do. I really do. I have connected to her, but she is one of my guides. So I am going to connect more with her. Wow. Awesome. Because I have my coach and mentor, she created an Oshun Oracle deck. And it's a
Oh, that
beautiful,
sounds beautiful.
oh my God, the just the artistry on this deck. And yes, that's why I was just interested that you were excited that you experienced Oshun because she is beautiful. And yeah, she's a beautiful Orisha and she is strong and empowering, very loving, all about self-love.
Yes.
And yes, and so
You know what? In the beginning, I was even wondering why is she showing up for me, a gringo, a white.
yeah, she's about self-love, very
Exactly.
empowering, yes, and she is here for all of us. Every, that feminine embodiment is so beautiful whenever she is called, and she's very gentle, and it is all about loving yourself and the beauty of her. It's all about beauty, and yeah, I love her. I am so glad that they say she is my spirit guide, one of them, one of the guides. I am going to connect with her more.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. All right. So, how can people work with you?
Actually, I don't look like, but I'm nearly 70 years old. I'm
Oh,
69.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm more of a retired medium now. That's why my
okay.
guy nudged me to have my own YouTube channel and share there instead of working one-on-one with clients any longer. And that's what I'm doing. I'm following their nudges and
Good. Good for you. This is about taking care of yourself, and that's how people can work with you through your YouTube channel. So we will make
exactly
sure
in
that
every
we put that
video
in.
there are some nuggets and it's a variety, it's channelings, it's exercises, it's just talks and sharing knowledge or information. It's experiences I had as a medium. So there's a wide variety and also useful self-help videos where you can cleanse your home, your land, subtle bodies, your whole field, and stuff like that. And even kind of protect yourself to not be too sensitive and open so that you get everything from everyone, and maybe even molested by unwanted negative influences. They guided me to make kind of a little store, but it's all free.
Okay, that's beautiful. I will make sure that I put that information in the show notes for people to be guided to you so that they can get that support. We need
Thank
that
you. Well,
support.
it's just my full name and YouTube channel. So if they Google that, Gabriele Heikamp and YouTube, they can find it easily and hop around and have some fun with trying out my videos.
Okay, that's beautiful. Well, I would like to thank you so much for coming and accepting my invitation to the Fear to Freedom Project. I'd like to ask my guests, all of the guests who come here, a couple questions. And my first question for you is, what are you most excited about in life right now?
Oh, that's hitting hard because I just recently found out there is nothing that excites me any longer. It's
It's
funny,
funny.
and if I break it down, the only thing really exciting me is when I'm inside and I have this wonderful contact that might be only 5 minutes in the outside kind of measurement with clock world. And I'm sitting on my sofa, but I'm experiencing inside of myself traveling to other planets, being there for days. Time is so different when you're in another dimension. So that's the only thing really interesting. Nothing else can get me out of my house. I'm already kind of annoyed when I have to go to the supermarket and buy food. I just love the inner world. There is nothing more exciting than that. And there's so much to learn and to find out. And there are even more colors than we know. I've once been to an ocean of color, and there were dragons swimming in this ocean. And that was just so colorful, colors that we have not even a word for to label it with. So there are wonders and wonders waiting inside. That's
Well,
the other
that's
really
exciting.
exciting me.
Well, that is very exciting to be there. At least it is for me. I mean, I'm excited with you to explore the inner world. Yeah, I'm excited with you. Yeah, good stuff. All right. So what does it mean to move from fear to freedom to you?
Interesting. Kind of become a child again. Let your inner child playfully come out and see the world with new, fresh eyes. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to lose. There is only to gain.
Thank you so much. Well, I would like to thank everyone for tuning into this episode of Conscious Connections. And may today's conversation be a beautiful reminder to you that you are never separate from Source, from love, that love, purpose, and freedom live all within you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this episode, share this episode with someone that you love and that could use a little light in their soul. And leave a comment. How did you feel about this episode? Did it resonate with you? And so this is where fear ends and freedom begins. Until the next time, peace and love. Appreciate you. Thank you, Gabrielle, for coming.